Sing hallelujah to Yahweh. Sing hallelujah to Yahweh. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Yahshua is coming back again. Yahshua is coming. Yahshua is coming. Yahshua is coming back again. Back again. Praise him that rideth on the cloud. Praise him that rideth on the cloud. Praise him that rideth. Praise him that rideth. Praise him that rideth on the cloud. We exalt you, Yahweh. We will sing for the honor due your name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We worship you, Yahweh. Oh, hallelujah.
Genesis chapter 10. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and to them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Repha, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan, And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Raamah, and Sabtiksha. The sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter in the presence of Yahweh, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and built Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah, the same as a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naphtuhim, and Pathrusim, and Cashluhim, out of whom came Philistine, and Caphtorim. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. And afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as you come into Gerar, unto Gaza, as you go to Sodom, and to Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even to Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. And Joktan begat Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmaveth, and Jerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab, and all these were the sons of Joktan. And their dwelling was from Misha, as you go into Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. End of chapter.
Jeremiah chapter 45. This is the word that Jeremiah the prophet spoke to Baruch the son of Neriah, when he had written these words in a book at the mouth of Jeremiah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim the son of Hosea, king of Yehudah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, to you, O Baruch. You did say, Woe is me now, for Yahweh has added grief to my sorrow. And I fainted in my sighing, and I find no rest. Thus will you say to him, Yahweh says this, Understand, that which I have built, I will break down, and that which I have planted, I will pluck up, even this whole land. And do you seek great things for yourself? Do not seek them. For understand that I will bring evil upon all flesh, says Yahweh. But your life will I give to you for a prey in all places wherever you go. End of chapter.
Exodus chapter 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came to Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which did not know Joseph. And he said to his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falls out any war, they also join to our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Raamses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, When you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Yahweh, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said to them, Why have you done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said to Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered before the midwives come into them. Therefore Yahweh dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied, and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Yahweh, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. End of chapter.
Zephaniah, chapter 3. Woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. She did not obey the voice. She received not correction. She did not trust in Yahweh. She did not draw near to her Elohim. Her princes within her are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. They gnaw not the bones until the next day. Her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They've done violence to the law. The just Yahweh is in the midst of it. He will not do iniquity. Every morning does he bring his judgment to light. He does not fail, but the unjust know no shame. I have cut off the nations. Their towers are desolate. I made their streets waste so that none passes by. Their cities are destroyed so that there is no man, that there is no inhabitant. I said, Surely you will fear me. You will receive instruction, so the dwelling would not be cut off. However, I punished them. But they rose early and corrupted all their doings. Therefore, you wait upon me, says Yahweh, till the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, so that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, all my fierce anger. For all the earth will be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, will bring my offering. In that day will you not be ashamed for all your doings, in which you have transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of you those that rejoice in your pride, and you will no longer be haughty because of my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of you an afflicted and poor people, and they will trust in the name of Yahweh. The remnant of Israel will not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither will a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they will feed and lie down, and none will make them afraid. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all the heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahweh has taken away your judgments, and he's cast out your enemy, the King of Israel. Yahweh is in the midst of you, and you will not see evil any more. In that day it will be said to Jerusalem, you fear not. To Zion, let not your hands be slack. Yahweh your Elohim in the midst of you is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over you with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over you with singing. I will gather those who are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of you, whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflicts you, and I will save her that halts, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and a praise amongst all the people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, says Yahweh. End of chapter.
And they sing the song of Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are your words, Yahweh Almighty, just and true are your ways, Yahweh, thou King of the saints, who shall not fear your name. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Oh, hallelujah, Yahweh. Come on, lift those hands and sing hallelujah, Yahweh. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Oh, hallelujah, Yahweh. And they sing, the song of Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are your words, Yahweh Almighty, just and true are your ways, Yahweh, thou King of the saints, who shall not fear your name. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Oh, hallelujah, Yahweh.
worship Him.
Hallelujah. 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 Torah Yahweh. Hallelujah. Yahweh. Hallelujah. Thank you, Abba.
Isaiah chapter 28. Woe to the crown of pride! Woe to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose beautiful finery is a fading flower, who are on the head of the fat valleys of those who are overcome with wine. Behold, Yahweh has a mighty strong one, like a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, like a flood of mighty waters overflowing, will throw down to the earth with the hand. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, will be trodden under foot, and the beautiful finery, which is on the head of the fat valley, will be a fading flower, like the hasty fruit before the summer, which, when he who looks upon it sees, while it is still in his hand, he eats it up. In that day will Yahweh of hosts be for a crown of honor, and for a diadem of beauty to the remainder of his people, and for a spirit of judgment to he who sits in judgment, and for strength to he that turn in the battle towards the gate. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink, and they are swallowed up by wine, and they are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision, they stumble in judgment. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness. There is no clean place. Whom will he teach knowledge? Whom will he make to understand doctrine? Those who are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another language will he speak to this people, to whom he said, This is the rest wherewith you may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear. But the word of Yahweh was to them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, so that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. So hear the word of Yahweh, you scornful men who rule this people that are in Jerusalem, because you have said, We've made a covenant with death, and with the grave are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge will pass through, it will not come to us, for we've made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hidden ourselves. Therefore, thus says the sovereign, Yahweh, understand, I lay in Zion for a foundation a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation, and he who believes on that stone will not make haste. Judgment also will I lay to the line, and righteousness to the plummet. And the hail will sweep away the refuge of lies, and the waters will overflow the hiding place. And your covenant with death will be annulled, and your agreement with the grave will not stand. When the overflowing scourge will pass through, then you will be trodden down by it. From the time that it goes forth, it will take you. For morning by morning will it pass over, by day and by night, and it will be a vexation only to understand the report. For the bed is shorter than that which a man can stretch himself on it, and the covering is narrow than that he can wrap himself in it. For Yahweh will rise up as in Mount Perazim. He will be angry as in the valley of Gibeon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Now therefore, do not be mockers, lest your bands be made strong, for I have heard from the sovereign, Yahweh of hosts, a consumption, even determined upon the whole earth. Give ye ear and hear my voice, listen and hear my speech. Does the plowman plow all day to sow? Does he open and break the clods of his ground? When he's made plain the face of it, does he not throw out the fitches, and scatter the cumin, and cast in the principal wheat, and the appointed barley and the rye in their place? For his Elohim does instruct him to discretion, and does teach him. For the fitches are not threshed with a threshing instrument, neither is a cartwheel turned around upon the cumin. But the fitches are beaten out with a staff, and the cumin is beaten with a rod. Bread is bruised, because he will not ever be threshing it, nor break it with the wheel of his cart, nor bruise it with his horsemen. This also comes forth from Yahweh of hosts, which is wonderful in counsel and excellent in working. End of chapter.
First Corinthians chapter 2. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring to you the testimony of Yahweh. For I determined not to know anything amongst you, save Yeshua the Messiah, and him executed. And I was with you in weakness, and in fear, and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of Yahweh. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to nothing. But we speak the wisdom of Yahweh in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which Yahweh ordained before the world to our honor, which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known of it, they would not have executed the sovereign of majesty. But as it is written, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which Yahweh has prepared for them that love him. But Yahweh has revealed them to us by his Spirit. For the Spirit searches all things, yes, the deep things of Yahweh. For what man knows the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him? Even so the things of Yahweh knows no man, but the Spirit of Yahweh. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of Yahweh, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of Yahweh. Which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teaches, but which the Holy Spirit teaches, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. But the natural man receives not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh, for they are foolishness to him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who has known the mind of Yahweh, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of the Messiah. End of chapter.
Hebrews chapter 11. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahweh, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto Yahweh a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Yahweh testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaks. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because Yahweh had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony, that he pleased Yahweh. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that comes to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith Noah, being warned of Yahweh concerning things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world, and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith he traveled in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is Yahweh. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the sea shore innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they had come out, they might have had an opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Wherefore Yahweh is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he has prepared for them a city. By faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, after he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it is said, that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Accounting that Elohim was able to raise him up, even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph, and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel, and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw that he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandments. By faith Moses, when he was coming to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of the Messiah greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover, and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians essaying to do were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down, after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yes, moreover of bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts, and in mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth. And these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. Yahweh having provided some better thing for us, that they outside of us should not be made perfect. End of chapter.
Jeremiah, chapter 1. Words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of Yahweh came in the days of Uzziah, the son of Ammon, king of Yehudah, in the 13th year of his reign. It came also in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Hosea, king of Yehudah, to the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, the son of Hosea, king of Yehudah, to the carrying away of Jerusalem captive in the 5th month. Then the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified you, and I ordained you a prophet to the nations. And I said, Ah, sovereign Yahweh, look, I cannot speak, I am a child. But Yahweh said to me, Do not say, I am a child, for you will go to all that I will send you to, and whatever I command you, you will speak. Do not be afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, says Yahweh. Then Yahweh put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and Yahweh said to me, Look, I've put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, and to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, and to build, and to plant. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Then said Yahweh to me, You have well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. And the word of Yahweh came to me the second time, saying, What do you see? And I said, I see a boiling pot, and the face of it is toward the north. And then Yahweh said to me, Out of the north an evil will break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, said Yahweh. And they will come, and they will set every one his throne at the entering of the gates of Jerusalem, and against all the walls of it round about, and against all the cities of Yehudah. And I will utter my judgments against them, touching all their wickedness, who have forsaken me, and have burned incense to other Elohim, and worshipped the works of their own hands. You, therefore, gird up your loins, and arise up, and speak to them all that I command you. Do not be dismayed at their faces, lest I confound you before them. For behold, I have made you this day a defenced city, and an iron pillar, and brazen walls against the whole land, against the kings of Yehudah, against the princes of it, and against the priests of it, and against the people of the land. And they will fight against you, but they will not prevail against you, for I am with you, says Yahweh, to deliver you. End of chapter.
First Samuel, chapter 2. And Hannah prayed and said, My heart rejoices in Yahweh, my horn is exalted in Yahweh, my mouth is enlarged over my enemies, because I rejoice in your salvation. There is none holy as Yahweh, for there is none beside you, neither is there any rock like our Elohim. Talk no more so exceedingly proud. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for Yahweh is an El of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased. So that the barren has borne 7, and she that has many children is waxed feeble. Yahweh kills and makes alive. He brings down to the grave and brings up. Yahweh makes poor and makes rich, and he brings low and lifts up. He raises up the poor out of the dust, and lifts up the beggar from the dunghill, and to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of honor. For the pillars of the earth are Yahweh's, and he has set the world upon them. He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of Yahweh shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. Yahweh shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength to his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. And Elkanah went to Ramah, to his house, and the child did minister to Yahweh before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They did not know Yahweh. And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came, while the flesh was in boiling, with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand, and he struck it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot. All that the flesh hook brought up the priest took for himself. And so they did in Shiloh to all the Israelites that came there. Also, Before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, Give me flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of you, but raw. And if any man said to him, Let them not fail to burn the fat right now, and then take as much as your soul desires, then he would answer them, saying, No, but you shall give it to me now, and if not, I will take it by force. For this reason, the sin of the young men was very great before Yahweh, for men hated the offering of Yahweh. But Samuel ministered before Yahweh, being a child, girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little coat, and brought it to him from year to year, when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife, and said, Yahweh give you seed of this woman for the loan which is lent to Yahweh. And they went to their own home. And Yahweh visited Hannah, so that she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before Yahweh. Now Eli was very old, and heard all that his sons did to all Israel, and how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he said to them, Why do you do such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all this people. No, my sons, for it is no good report that I hear. You make Yahweh's people to transgress. If one man sin against another, the judge shall judge him. But if a man sin against Yahweh, who shall entreat for him? Notwithstanding, they listened not to the voice of their father, because Yahweh would slay them. And the child Samuel grew on, and was in favor both with Yahweh and also with men. And there came a man of Elohim to Eli, and said to him, Thus says Yahweh, Did I plainly appear to the house of your father when they were in Egypt in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, and to offer upon my altar, to burn incense, to wear an ephod before me? And did I give to the house of your father all the offerings made by fire of the children of Israel? Why do you kick at my sacrifice and at my offering, which I've commanded in my habitation, and honor your sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the best part of all the offerings of Israel, my people? Therefore, Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, says, I said indeed that your house and the house of your father should walk before me forever. But now Yahweh said, Be it far from me. For them that honor me I will honor, and they that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. Behold, the days come, that I will cut off your arm and the arm of your father's house, that there shall not be an old man in your house. And you shall see an enemy in my habitation, in all the wealth which Yahweh shall give Israel, and there shall not be an old man in your house forever. And the man of yours, whom I shall not cut off from my altar, shall be to consume your eyes and to grieve your heart, and all the increase of your house shall die in the flower of their age. And this shall be a sign to you, that shall come upon your 2 sons, on Hophni and Phinehas. In one day they shall die, both of them. And I will raise me up a faithful priest, that shall do according to that which is in my heart and my mind, and I will build him a sure house, and he shall walk before my anointed forever. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left in your house shall come and crouch to him for a piece of silver and a morsel of bread, and shall say, Put me, I beg of you, into one of the priest's offices, that I may eat a piece of bread. End of chapter.
Isaiah chapter 9. Nevertheless, the dimness will not be like it was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, in Galilee of the nations. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They who dwell in the land of the shadows of death, upon them has the light shone. You have multiplied the nation, and not increased the joy. They rejoice before you according to the rejoicing that is in harvest time, and like men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For you have broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, like in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confusion and noise and garments rolled in blood, but this battle will be with burning and with the fuel of fire. For unto us is a child born, unto us is a son given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty El, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace shall be no end, and upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from now on even forever. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will perform this. Yahweh sent a word into Jacob, and it has lighted upon Israel, and all the people will know. Ephraim and the inhabitant of Samaria, who say in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will rebuild them with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars. For this reason Yahweh will set up the adversaries of Rezin against them, and join his enemies together, the Syrians in front and the Philistines behind, and they will devour Israel with open mouth. But for all of this, his anger is still not turned away, but instead his hand is still stretched out against them. For the people do not turn towards him who smites them, neither do they seek for Yahweh of hosts. For this reason Yahweh will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head, and the prophet who teaches lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they who are led by them are destroyed. For this reason Yahweh will have no joy in their young men, and neither will have mercy upon their fatherless and widows. For every one is a hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaks foolishness. For all this his anger is not turned away yet, but instead his hand is still stretched out. For wickedness burns like the fire, and it will devour the briars and thorns, and will kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they who will mount up like the lifting up of smoke. Through the wrath of Yahweh of hosts is the land darkened, and the people will be like the fuel of the fire. No man will spare his brother. And he will snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and they'll eat on the left hand, and they will not be satisfied. They will eat every man the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh, Ephraim, and Ephraim, Manasseh, and they together will be against Yehudah. But for all of this his anger is still not turned away, but his hand is still stretched out against them. End of chapter.
YHWH.